Made the postseason last year. WBIT. Opening tap controlled by George Mason, and away we go.
Well, you can see immediately looking for attack and an opportunity to get inside. Wake Forest, a good, solid defensive team, though. Not going to make a lot of mistakes in spacing.
Kasia baseline double teamed and rejected, and it pops back out to the Deeks. Mia Jones leading Wake Forest in most key statistics early on. We mentioned Williams, Reagan Conley, Cowles and Hinds would get the start. Head coach Megan Gebbia. Shot clock under 10 for Williams. Double team for a moment. She'll turn it over. Trying to spot Jones cutting towards the baseline.
That's a tough place to pick up the ball. Right here on the sideline, off a screen and roll, you get a trap, and then you get some help in addition to that, causing the early turnover for Wake.
Beeb, Suarez, Walton, Kasia, Kennedy, Harris. Starting five tonight. Coach Blair Lewis. Deeks have already forced two turnovers. The steal by Jones. Left-handed dribble, and the crossover comes up short. Somehow got it back and turns it over. Patriots in transition. A little Euro with the left hand.
That would tell you right there. Walton has a skill set on her. I mean, out in the open floor, that's such a hard basket to make. You go left to right with the Euro, or excuse me, right to left. I like the pace and the physicality of this game early on so far.
High ball screen, Williams. And attacking well short, some contact.
Yep.
No whistle.
But you see it right here, 8 seconds. I mean, they are turning defense to offense quickly. Walton taking a big hit right there in the middle of the lane. Let's go back to that great move by Zahira Walton. Able to get up off the glass there, use that high, just the high part of the backboard there. And you see her vision, like as she's coming down the floor, she's looking up at the rim where she's gonna let go of the ball.
68% free throw shooter, one more coming. The A10 Rookie of the Year, second leading scorer. 6 times Rookie of the Week. That's getting the job done in that first campaign.
That will secure you the award in most cases.
0 for 2 at the stripe, and the rebound comes down to the Deeks. That was Hinds. Demeara Hinds, now a senior. Two nothing, 2 minutes in. Deeks in the top 25 defensively. Points per game yielding so far this season. Less than 50 per contest. Offense has been a work in progress. Hinds comes up short.
Yeah, for the Deacons to be successful offensively, where they've got to keep the ball moving and you got to create some space. When the ball gets stuck, it creates hesitation for the rest of the players, and it falls on players like Williams to feel like she's got to shoot it.
Megan Gebbia told us this morning at shoot-around, yesterday at practice, didn't get what she wanted to see in terms of shot making, shot selection, and the ball going in the basket. She said she hopes that changes today. Defense travels, it's been there all year for Wake Forest.
And that could be a great place to restart your offense, but in a possession like this, like we've seen the ball kind of stick, right? Each player holding on to it for 2-3 seconds at a time.
Shot clock down to 2. In and out with a 3. Jones pops out to Williams and a fresh 20.
Now, offensive rebounds are another great way to kind of keep that, not only keep the possession alive, but increase your confidence. You got to do.
Crossover was there inside to Andrews. Patriots defensively have been a lead so far. Still 2-0.
Excuse me, I was going to say you got to do something with the ball. Can't get caught up, choked up with it.
3 ball, too strong by Kennedy Harris. Deeks have it again in search of their first points of the night. Jones stripped. And it's back to George Mason.
Kennedy Harris is doing a fantastic job of on-ball guarding. The length, the vision, is interrupting everywhere Tamia Jones wants to go.
See if this went off of Jones and that right knee going up. Kasia came down to block the shot. Patriots get the basketball. I mentioned earlier, this is a 23-win program, a 2-2-1 full-court press being employed now by Coach Gebbia. Won 23 games last year, just 8 losses. The majority of that roster returns. Patriots feel like one of those teams where you will see them perhaps in mid-March pop in somewhere as a 13 or a 14 seed, and they're going to be dangerous. Keisha inside. Milani Keisha, her first basket. It's 4-0.
You can see why they're dangerous. You see the movement, the pace of the game, the spacing, and what a look by Paulo Suarez to go over top that great lob-looking pass. I mean, you mentioned it, Roy. This is a team that is built for postseason play in George Mason. They've been there. They've got a deep bench. They can get to the offensive glass, and they are hard to slow down. You got to pick up the ball at least at half court.
Harris off the mark on the runner. Williams inside in the first bucket for the Deacons.
That was an incredible look ahead and finish by Williams. That's the kind of pace and the directness that you want to have if you're Wake Forest. You can't be passing all around the perimeter. Try to get into that lane.
Suarez with an opening. Short. Keisha on the offensive glass. Throws it away. Kind of a helter-skelter pace to start. I mentioned the 23 wins a year ago. Picked third in the A-10 this campaign. WPIT appearance. Close game against Penn State in that first round.
And that's the next step, right? It's going from a 10-win season. A couple years later, here you are, 23 wins. You're reaching the postseason, so you're taking the appropriate steps, bringing back players, which is not an easy skill these days. But Wake Forest breaking the pressure perfectly. A little backdoor pass. That time, Madison Jordan connecting.
Rylie Theuerkauf the bucket. Tied at 4.
Hands.
Ripped away by Jones and unable to corral it inbounds. Rylie Theuerkauf getting the job done here for the Deeps. They bring the table, both averaging over 90 points per game.
Right. Did you know that in addition to averaging so many points, you've got the leading rebounder in the game?
Really?
Kayla Timpson.
Timpson getting it done for FSU.
Getting it done. 15 a game.
Okay.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of boards.
And your Florida Gators have scored 20 points in every quarter but 4. So, you know, we look at, like, defensively, you know, Wake's the type of team that can hold a team to, like, 2 points or 9 points of single-digit quarters, but you don't hear a lot about teams getting over 20 consistently. It's a big deal.
It's buckets.
It's a lot of fun. It's getting some buckets.
Tied at 4, halfway home in our first quarter. Rick Weisberg, Roy Philpott, glad you could join us at Joel Coliseum. Open 3, Madison Jordan. And rebound corralled by Walton. Here Walton stuffing the stat sheet early on. Jada Brown on the floor for the first time. Theuerkauf the steal. And coast to coast, the Deeks have their first lead. So 4 off the bench for 14 in white. Suarez, the spin, the double team. She'll dribble away from it. Keisha down low. Split the double team, lost control. Williams has it.
That's where Wake, their defensive position and their smarts there are really working for them. Is once they can slow down and force George Mason into a quarter court team, then you're working on space, and they don't have the speed to be able to get by them in that quarter court.
Deeks a 6-0 run the last 2+ minutes. Shot clock down to 5. Jones dribbling inside and a blocking foul call. Free throws coming for Tamia Jones.
Let's go back to that steal off of Rylie Theuerkauf and watch the ball here. I thought the ball bounced off the leg of Theuerkauf. Looked like she got a little footsie action in there, a little soccer to add to this game.
It felt like a soccer type play, right? Trying to trap it.
I don't know, you're the soccer player, you tell me.
Well, felt like she was trying to trap it in the ball. Karams in the backcourt, she picks it up. That could have been a kickball.
Okay.
But it was kind of in disguise around all the traffic.
It was slick.
It was slick.
Yep.
Here's Jones at the free throw. We talked with Coach Gebbia earlier this morning at shoot-around this afternoon. One of the questions we asked her play of Tamia Jones, what she's done so far, the question was, are you surprised by the level of production? He said, yeah, candidly I am. And we've needed it, and it's been great. But to be the leading scorer, rebounder, and to have the kind of start she's had, you think about that if Elise Williams starts getting going a little bit more, and all of a sudden Wake Forest becomes much more dangerous once conference play gets here.
The biggest thing they needed was that additional scoring support for Williams, and you get that and then some with Jones, who was a starter at SMU. She led the team in assists. And you think about some of the added value that you're not going to talk about on the stat sheet, but I was looking at the game she had against Charlotte. She drew 8 fouls. We just saw her get to the line.
Yeah.
When you have the ability to get other teams in foul trouble, that is a definite skill, and one that you can lean on to help your team score more, get out of some ruts, all those types of things. So she's got another complete game, similar to Elise Williams, but a different type of player, of course.
Neal finally able to inbound it. Naku Mitchell on the floor for the first time. Shot clock down to 3. Contested triple. Banks it in, and that'll stop an 8-0 run for the Deeks. Kennedy Harris from downtown. Well, that's one way to do it.
She said, I'm just going to let this thing go, see where it goes, and got a little bank shot off of it. Good recognition of the shot clock going down. And George Mason getting stopped in the paint. They may have to rely on some threes.
Foul inside. McNeil picks up the personal. Shot clock winding down. It's from 25 feet.
Oh, we can include the logo on there. It's pretty big. The WF does stretch pretty far, but we can still count it as a logo 3.
It's fun to say a logo 3.
Logo. Are you at all for like an addition of a logo 3 4-pointer anywhere?
A 4-point shot?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You'd be interested in that?
I mean, it would have to be very deep, right?
Yeah, absolutely. In between the 3-point line and the half court.
I mean, not equidistant, I would say, but I mean, at least 3 feet behind the current 3-point arc.
Oh, I'd say at least like more 5.
So a really long shot.
Yeah. 4 points. I mean, if you would you get fouled? Could you get no corner 3 now? You'd have to shoot it from pretty much where Theuerkauf is at least.
Right. I wasn't expecting this kind of conversation this early. Outside of Williams, wide open at this time. But yeah, you would essentially mark the court off.
Yeah.
It would have to be very deep because the concern would be you would have players practicing the 4-point shot and nothing else. Because think about it, a 4-point play, that's a big deal. That's a special moment.
Well, if you get fouled on a 4-point shot, do you go for 5?
Well, of course. But I mean, that's not, you would be foolish to even attempt to foul.
Maybe that's where like Unrivaled can try that out. Like a league like Unrivaled can try it. We see how that goes.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Williams retreats. Addison Jordan travel. And the Deeks get it right back. 1:42 to go in the first quarter. I mean, I have all kinds of thoughts on potential rule changes like that in multiple sports. The issue in basketball, the 4-point shot, is you hope it doesn't ruin the integrity of offenses and just your skill sets growing up trying to figure out what to do. But I mean, there's a lot of shots that are attempted that are 25, 26, 27 feet out.
Agreed. Something fun to consider, but I think we already have a lot of players trying to launch it as soon as they walk into the gym anyways. Yeah, why not?
Williams again, a quick trigger.
That's a great rebound. That's what they need. Wake's got to get some offensive opportunities.
Andrews brought it down low that time, and it was stripped.
Suarez is going to snack on it as a guard. We love that. Bring that ball down. We're going to get it.
Deeks staying their man-to-man. We did see some full-court pressure with a 2-2-1 moments ago. For a minute to go, Suarez tried to scoop it up. And it's out of bounds. It'll stay on this end.
For as direct corners as George Mason, their guards are coming off that weave. You love it. It's right down the lane. But the quick hands of Jones and Williams, they have stripped at least 4 or 5 basketballs.
And as a guard, that is annoying, right, when that's happening against you?
Yeah, it is annoying. Yeah, you're right. That's why you get us back.
Massenberg off the mark. Deeks can think about 2 for 1 for a minute here. Williams will walk it up the floor instead.
Well, now I didn't expect to see a single-digit quarter from both teams to start this game.
Well, it's a Wake Forest tempo, you would have to think, given their defense yielding less than 50 points per game this season. Jordan connects from downtown, and that'll expand the lead. 11-7, the largest of this game for the Ducks.
Jordan says, yeah, I got you. I got a little something for you. Good ball movement, though. You felt confident in that shot. It was clear and crisp, and then when she stepped into that, it was authority.
Physical start. Down low to Massenberg, and Trinity with a spin and a foul. Now don't forget our Week 13 ACC Network football lineup. It starts Saturday. 7-3 UConn taking on Syracuse at noon. Florida State, Charleston Southern. And later on, Stanford, Cal, the big game. Virginia Tech and Duke will wrap up the evening. 8 o'clock. Each game also on the ESPN app. Massenberg at the charity stripe. Just a 38% free throw shooter this season. Carries the first. 5.6 seconds remaining.
Well, you got to expect, Williams or Jones to just go full court and try to create. Or Williams, I should say, she's in the game.
Full court pressure. Williams to Theuerkauf. Nearly lost it. And then double dribbled. She did. 1.2 to go. So 1.2 seconds remaining. Walton checks in. Massenberg goes out for the Patriots. Low scoring first 10 minutes. McNeil the runner. 11-9 our score, 10 minutes in at Joel Coliseum, the A-10 versus the ACC as we continue after this. George Mason with possession to start our second quarter. Suarez, a runner no, and tapped out. It'll stay on this end with a fresh 20. How long ago was it when you were playing?
Well, it was a shorter time than when you were in college. That's all I know.
That's unfortunate.
Funny, there is a player in the house tonight, Dee Penix, who played at High Point. High Point ended the Coastal Carolinas bid for an NCAA tournament that year. So that was the last team we ever played, lost to. They played 2-3 zone. We couldn't do anything about it, couldn't get any movement, and probably didn't even score 40 in that game.
Stagnant against a 2-3. That is a big-time no-no. Three-pointer off the mark by Coles. Coles off the mark. Corner three on the other end, no good. And Jones clears for the Deeks. No push tempo.
A lot of one-and-dones, too, as well for George Mason. So Wake Forest forcing quick shots, difficult shots, and able to control the boards. And then their bigs working hard to keep the play alive.
Like Coles rips it away.
Yeah. She's such a strong rebounder. And coming in this year, having started all 32 games last year, that experience in the ACC, she knows what it takes to pull a board and get it.
Shot clock down to 3. Step back triple. Nearly banked that one in for Conley. Already seen that one time tonight happen for the Patriots.
How's it not going to happen for the home team?
I don't know. I will tell you this. The rims in this gym are forgiving. So if you put it up there, it's got a chance.
Got it. Well, the defense from Wake Forest is not forgiving. Continuing to get great hands in action and get a lot of steals here in these first couple quarters. The opponents are only shooting 33%. Yikes.
Great entry pass and a foul call. Free throws coming for Hinds. Demeara Hinds to the free throw line.
Oh, Walton already at 2 fouls. That's a big deal. And do you keep her in if you're head coach Vanessa Blair-Lewis? Second leading scorer looks like we'll make a substitution. So this could shift the entire momentum of the game here, Roy, with Walton out of the game. Who's going to provide that big-time energy that she brings to the table?
Demeara Hinds at the line, jammed one of her fingers on her shooting hand, so she has 2 of those wrapped for support. It does not make the whole idea of shooting free throws any easier.
Does not.
You see it there. You kind of lose that touch and sensation as you release the basketball.
The good thing is it's the guide hands. You don't have to shoot the ball off your fingertips.
Patriots back the other way. Aaron's shot and falling down. Deeks will get it back. Massenberg, I think, wanted a foul. An extra step, but perhaps a bump before.
Yeah, I think the foul was called before the travel.
And that goes on Massenberg. And a turnover. Patriots nearly turn it over again. 6 miscues in the first 10 minutes tonight. And now a steal. Deeks bring it back the other way. Theuerkauf off the pump fake, and that's a foul.
Oh, Theuerkauf took a shot too as she went up. Good ball fake to get the defense up in the air. And it starts on the defensive end. This is where the intensity from Wake Forest, the hands getting out there, getting on the floor, and then looking ahead. You can convert defense to offense quickly when you're playing like this. And I'll say George Mason's got to do a better job of not telegraphing their passes. Like they're planning it out. You can see it from here.
Right. As a guard, how do you make sure that you accomplish that?
Well, it's a dual responsibility. The person I'm passing to also has to come meet the ball a little quicker, but you have to just continue to meet the pace, and if it doesn't look like the pass is there, don't pass it.
And I do want to tell you, I think you were correct in terms of the fingers that were wrapped on Demeara Hinds. I was told earlier today it was on the shooting hand. You assume that to be accurate, and then upon a secondary glance, it appears as if our esteemed analyst was actually correct.
The esteemed. Hit me with the esteemed already.
Was correct in the
We're
analysis.
Too early in the season for that, sir. But it still messes your shot up. You know, you got it on the guide hand, and you're still out there trying to play. And you don't want to think about it. But you got 2 fingers stuck together. It's going to affect the way you play basketball.
Quick trigger, Conley, and splashes home the triple. Well, that was pure. And the Deeks with their largest lead at 16-9. 7:04 remaining in the first half. Wake Forest trying to seize control. George Mason without a single point so far in our second quarter. Brooke Weisbrod, Roy Philpott. Patriots back to work. Green and gold on the road. Fresh off a victory at Marshall, an NCAA tournament team last year. They've gone through a coaching change, but still a viable opponent, and a traveling violation on Coles after she forced the turnover.
How can you be upset at that, though? It's like the energy, the effort is there, and then she caught herself. She knew the mistake. She said, I should have stopped and handed it over to a guard. You just get so excited. I get it.
I was looking at Megan Jebbia in that sequence. She was not pleased.
Well, you want to be able to convert, because has been what's given Wake Forest the lead. So anytime you turn that ball over, that's just another chance for a possession. Those are going to matter.
Foul down low. This one will be called against the Deeks. Our conversation with Coach Jebbia this morning, she had indicated yesterday's practice as crisp defensively as all the sessions have been this year. That's been their calling card. I believe the quote she used on offense, if we were standing on the beach trying to throw it in the ocean, I don't think it would have gotten there yesterday. And I said, Coach, a lot of times that means you just press the reset button. Everything's going to be great offensively. Tonight, she goes, that's not been my experience.
Yeah. Sometimes you just, you feel it as a coach. And so you're thinking, all right, we didn't have a great, shooting walkthrough or that last practice, and it just kind of sticks with you. So that's why you want to harp on defense even more, because you know your team is feeling a little bit off.
Speaking of defense, another turnover. Wake Forest ratcheting up the pressure and outscoring George Mason 5-0 so far in the second quarter. And the shooting percentage for the Patriots down to a frigid 20%. And a 3-second violation. Gives it back to George Mason.
I'd be interested to see if perhaps, George Mason shifts their defense, adds a press, maybe a different look in the zone, just to try to change it up and throw off Wake Forest to get them more open looks, be able to run.
Work it inside out, a 15-footer. The baseline is all net, and that'll stop the scoring drought. Louis Volker. The mid-range. Mid-range shot. Where is it gone in basketball? Where art thou?
No,
mid-range.
it is that. What is there? All players, I feel like, are starting to rediscover it again.
It is making a bit of a comeback.
Yeah, it is.
Maybe we are willing that into existence by saying it out loud.
No, I really think it happens. I'll give you a perfect example. Just saw UConn and UNC play. Paige Beckers is about that mid-range life.
She's got it.
She has got everything.
Off glass, and Keisha connects. Back to a one-possession game, so back-to-back buckets. It was 16-9, and now it's 16-13, halfway home in our second quarter.
So that's why you can understand why Coach Gebbia was so upset about that early turnover, the steal from Coles, but you give it right back.
Mia Jones has been held in check for the most part. Offense in general has been held in check. Shot clock under 5 again. Elise Williams a step back. Lib remains on the hoop for her. Suarez will track it down, 2-on-2. Kennedy Harris, 16-15 in a quick 6-0 burst. George Mason right back in it.
And that added pressure too, after they score, you can see it in their defense. They're able to extend it out. And better spacing and movement from Wake Forest, but we'll have a foul. Kennedy Harris. George Mason fighting for the loose ball here. Suarez, who's been an impactful player here in this game, up ahead. And Kennedy Harris finishing through contact.
Mia Jones, 2 of 2 at the stripe. The Deeks trying to stop a 6-0 run. Jones will do that. Deeks in the bonus rest of this half. It was not the season Wake Forest wanted a year ago. 8 wins, dealing with various injuries, ailments. 1 of 2 at the stripe for Jones. Megan Gebbia is known for turning programs around. She's done it multiple stops. And this perhaps her best team to date. The ACC unforgiving, though, once conference play arrives, as we've come to understand in recent years. This league has produced some of the top teams in America. Kennedy Harris was bumped and fouled. She's going to shoot 2.
Well, not only the history of what the ACC has been, but what it is now. Go ahead and add Stanford, that a former national champion to the league. Cal, a perennial good team, top 25 worthy, NCAA bound all the time, and SMU, a competitive team coming out of the American Conference. A lot more travel and demands, and trying to rebuild a program where you're competing against the best teams in the country, and you're flying across the country as well.
You talk to the various coaches and all the different sports at Cal and Stanford, and the conversation centers around, with the travel, sleeping habits. How early do we arrive on the East Coast for a game, let's say, that's played on a Sunday afternoon? Do we need to get there Friday night, Saturday morning? Do we stay on West Coast time?
Right.
Contact inside, and more free throws coming for Jones. So Tamia Jones starting to exert herself.
Now, if you're chartering, I would say, you leave, like, let's say you have a game Sunday at 3 p.m. on the East Coast. Probably leave Saturday morning about 9 o'clock.
Well,
get here, practice, loosen up, dinner, and then
the coaches I've talked to about it, they have the sleep doctors in-house that analyze all of the stuff. And Like, I remember talking to Justin Wilcox, who is the head football coach at Cal, and it's like a daily conversation. They would come out a day earlier than what you're suggesting. That's football. But I think for the most part, if it's a one-off trip, you're trying to get out there and adjust the body to the time change as quickly as possible, but also use the flight time as a means to stay productive or get rest. And it depends on the time of year, the time of the week.
Yeah.
What's
that doctor got to say about sleeping on the plane? Because that's not real rest.
I can sleep on a plane.
Respectfully, you're not the size of a football player.
That's true.
Or a basketball player.
But they have bigger seats, I would imagine, too.
Okay, I hope so.
I'm not the size of any player. 3-point game, 3.5 to go in our second quarter. But the sleep doctor, a real thing. The sports psychologist, and just making sure that everybody's on the same page, a real thing. And honestly, it's probably going to take a year or two to figure out the perfect way to do it. Not that there is such a thing.
It won't be. I just think the demands. Sorry, Ray. Just thinking about the demands on these student athletes. I mean, they still have work to do as the student end. Take a look here at this screen. You see Williams calling for it, moving ahead. Oh, yeah, you can kind of see it all in the same motion.
Well, Jada Brown, that's an easy call. Veteran crew, Joe Vasili, Tara Cruz, Denise Carr. 3-point game. George Mason has scratched and clawed and fought its way back into this. Low-scoring game and a 7-point deficit feels like it's much larger than that. A couple of quality possessions changed the course of this second quarter. Keisha double team up and in and somehow got it to go. The lead down to 1. On Keisha. Third team all A-10 performer. Think about Atlantic 10 basketball. It's a physical league.
Yeah.
And they've had plenty of talent.
I mean, think about Dayton, Rhode Island, some of these teams that each year you could see second round NCAA Sweet 16 potential, but all just very difficult season teams to play and willing to take on the major schools.
After the miss by Coles, George Mason can take the lead. Shot clock down to 10. Suarez. Two-person game with Keisha. Baseline jumper is there again. This time is Arrett. Too strong for Bolker. Crossover by Williams. At least Williams 1 for 5 from the floor. And she suffered a concussion, ankle sprain going back to the later stages of summer. And the block, Keisha came in to swat it away and maintain possession.
That was a heck of a defensive play. It just heads up. Never stopped moving her feet, had her hands in position, but didn't reach.
Patriots want the lead right before halftime. Jada Brown. 7 to shoot. The hedge by Coles, and the shot comes up short. Saved by the Patriots. Desperation heave at the horn. And that's a long 2 for Jada Brown. 19 to 18.
Talk about George Mason. They have not panicked, right? Have you seen them in any possession, despite Wake Forest getting their hands on the basketball? They don't look rushed to me.
Brooke, it's a 9-2 run after trailing 16-9. And trying to wrap up the half in strong fashion. 5-second differential between game and shot clock. Impressive comeback for the A-10 visitors. Suarez picked up. Throws it up. Shot clock is off. There's another steal. Coles corrals it in the first half. Nearly came to a close before the jump ball was called with 0.1 to go. And that effectively will end the first half.
Jump ball. Possession. Back to the team.
A low scoring first half where, I mean, if we counted the deflections, they'd definitely be higher than
A 9-2 run for George Mason to close down the second quarter. It's a Wake Forest tempo, but a Patriots. Wake Forest got the basketball then, and they don't have it now on basically a meaningless possession at the end of the second quarter. Kasia inside the jump hook, no. Kennedy Harris fought for the loose basketball and claimed the rebound. Mid-range for Walton, also no good.
I really love the way that Coles boxes out and goes after the rebound.
Sound.
You know what I mean? Like, she's so solid. Exactly. You can just tell she's the type of player that's going to give you 100% in practice, in the classroom, you know, big games, a big board, whatever you need.
Williams to Hinds, shot clock already down to 6. Coles to Williams, and the pass bounces out of bounds back to the Patriots.
So right there, right? That's a perfect example of both people responsible for the pass. Coles saw cutting Williams, but as she was passing it to her, Williams like jumped up in the air and took off. So her awareness of her body wasn't right there to receive and meet that pass where it was. And those are little things that end up adding up. Already 13 turnovers. It's tough.
The steal by Hinds. Well, there was contact, no foul. Kasia slow to get up. And still in the backcourt for running down to try to play some defense. Jones forcing the issue. Free throws coming for number 10. Demeara Jones, graduate student now from the Colony, Texas. Watch Kasia here, absorbing the contact from Hinds.
Shot right to the midsection. Probably knocked a bit of wind out of her too, taking that shot. You've seen this game get, I mean, it was physical right from the start. There's no doubt about it.
Demeara Jones, Coach Jebbia talking with us today, just talked about her energy and all that it has meant in the early going this year.
And what's great is you got somebody that has started 47 games. And I mentioned before, she led her team in assists, so she knows how to create. She's a graduate student, so she brings maturity and that leadership to your squad. You get a lot of value.
Brooke, you saw the 2-2-1 full court pressure pay dividends that time. Another turnover. The first half, we saw 23 combined turnovers between the two sides. And here's another foul, and that's on Kasia. And more free throws for the Deeks. Well, that's one way to generate offense. The shots aren't dropping. They're not dropping from three-point range. Get to the striping, chances are they will.
I like that Wake is not, they're not going to the press every single time. It could be, you know, sometimes make or miss, depending on what happens. But it's just enough to throw the defense off where, you know, if they figure out how to beat the press and get their flow back, you don't want to see that happen. You just want to keep the offense guessing at all times. And that's one of the strengths of the Wake defense is not knowing where you're going to get an in. They're so sound defensively.
Let the previous drama finally conclude with Demeara Hinds at the stripe. Clearly the guide hand is the one that is wrapped with the two fingers and not the shooting hand. I apologize to America.
Oh. Well, just to hear I'm right and I apologize in one game.
That may be a first.
We'll just take that for the whole season now.
The runner, Kennedy Harris with a kind bounce. And I mentioned the softness of these rims. Put them up there, they got a chance to drop. And we saw it there.
Definitely see it. I mean, it was soft. It just kind of hit the back there, but she's got such great extension and height. Her hops, they're quick, and that's what makes her shot so hard to guard.
Habib with a steal, had to hit the deck to make sure she maintained possession, and she did. Open look, and that's Walton from downtown.
And she is right back in the game. You could feel her off the catch, that rhythm shot. And momentum able to knock down three.
She's been a difference maker tonight when she's been on the floor. Those two early fouls that you referenced in the first half. And she had to go down to the bench for a couple of moments, but her shot making and her shot in general, you feel like something good's going to happen. Ball's in her hands.
Well, that's where George Mason has become a better team because they can rely on the bench, right? We said, hey, what's going to happen with her? She goes out of the game with 2 fouls. They end up picking up the lead.
.7:14 to go. We're in our third quarter. Only meeting between these two teams previously back in 1988. And it should be pointed out, Megan Gebbia and Vanessa Blair-Lewis, actually pretty good friends. They used to run camps together back in the day, and that's how this game came together. Runner by Walton, no. Hinds clears. A lot of times it is hard to put together that non-conference schedule,
Yes.
right? We hear coaches complain about that, not necessarily, you know, in the spotlight, but behind the scenes, because you want your non-con to be difficult but not too hard. And you want the strength of schedule to be good but not too good, because you want to win some games, and it all depends on what kind of roster you have, the experience that you have within your program, and it's fluctuating in this day and age a lot of years.
Well, every coach has a different approach to that based on their roster. Right? If you have a younger team, you're not going to want to go hunting for those really big-time matchups in the non-conference. You're going to want to build confidence. But if you have a team like George Mason that's experienced, you're going to want to seek out these bigger games. You remember when Don Staley put out a post on Twitter at the time? Hey, we need some games. Anybody want to play us?
It was a plea.
It was literally like, will anybody please play us? So the struggle is real no matter what level. Okay, how about that added value from Coles? She looked like, I get that bucket, right? That's a board and a bucket now.
Kasia with a wide grin coming back down the court. She'll get credit for that bucket. And now George Mason broke with its largest lead at 4.
We thought this game had the potential, for, I guess if you asked George Mason to them, it wouldn't be upset potential. It would just be a potential to get a win. Certainly Wake Forest has the ACC school here defending at home. Trying to ramp up their defense. You can see Coles extending way out behind the pick and roll, trying to trap, and then going over there for help side, but it's not enough. Kennedy Harris doing some things in this game.
Kennedy Harris extending the lead for the Patriots, 28-22. And Vanessa Blair-Lewis pleased with the start of the second half for George Mason. George Mason out in front of Wake Forest by 6. The head coach of the Patriots, Vanessa Blair-Lewis. We had a great conversation with her earlier this morning. Now in year number 4, the win total has increased every single year. And on the left-hand side of your screen, a picture with her 2 sons, Blair and Bryce, after winning the MEAC championship at Bethune-Cookman. And that picture important for so many reasons as Wake Forest gets possession of the basketball out of the timeout. She's missed 2 days of work in the course of her basketball coaching career. Those days, the birth of her 2 sons, including Bryce, which occurred the year before that championship photo was taken.
Wow.
On the day of the MEAC championship, she had to miss it. Bethune-Cookman lost by a single point. And a year to the day after that, she returned with Bryce in hand to celebrate the title. And the symmetry at that point was complete. But her point in making sure that her kids were with her and have been around her programs as they have grown up is that as a lady, as a player, as a female, you can have it all.
Yeah.
As a mom, a coach, and in the workforce. And it's a great message that she continues to deliver to her program and her team year after year. And it's not talked about very often that you can have it all, especially in the world of sports, Brooke.
That is such an incredible story, and one that her sons are going to look to say, wow, I mean, my mom has found a way to make family and work and life and balance all happen for me. And they got a 4-point lead this game, so they know mom's happy about that one.
Also on the ESPN app. Back at Joel Coliseum with Westbrook Roy Philpott, 28-24. George Mason in search of the road upset against Wake Forest. Patriots undefeated so far, fresh off a road victory at Marshall. Plus back home after this game tonight. Came down from Huntington, West Virginia after that victory just 2 days ago. Theuerkauf back on the floor, a Euro baseline, somehow got that to go. I don't know that I've seen that combination of moves before a mid-range shot off the glass.
You know what I'm saying? Like, she drove baseline, found a way to cut middle with the Euro step. Usually it's full court transition to do it.
Theuerkauf with 7 points tonight. Coming off the bench, head coach Megan Jebian. It's down to a 2-point game. It was 6 moments ago.
Yeah, she's got some key steals. You see how active she is out there. Trying to get a piece of the ball.
Kennedy Harris, the floater. Kasia, right over the back of Theuerkauf. No foul was called.
Again. Drove left. Ooh. And, you know, you wait to see what the defense is going to give you when you react. Awesome.
The reaction was immaculate.
Yeah, it was. Timely.
Foul win against Wake Forest. George Mason gets it back. Kennedy Harris rejected. Williams snuck in there. And then body contact and a foul call. And we mentioned Elise Williams, really the heart and soul of this program going back to last season. Still kind of waiting to press the go button this year on offense at least. Foul again. And it's Demeara Hinds. 14 fouls, so George Mason in the bonus the rest of the way. And for the next foul call. And Demeara now with 3. Have a seat on the bench. Here comes Coles.
She's got her fingers wrapped. Coles has a bandage above her left eye. It gives you a sense of just how physical this team has played. What their season's been like so far, and all that, those fouls just lead to a turnover. Wake Forest eager to get the ball in bounds.
Well, give and go, and Harris too much mustard on that pass, looking for Kasia down low. 14 turnovers now for the Patriots. Getting projected in the top 5 of the Atlantic 10, number 3 pick in the preseason poll. Three wins a season ago. Shot clock down to 7, Elise Williams.
That's a tough pass to make off a screen. You're fading away. No eye contact made with Coles, who was rolling to the basket. But they will get the ball right back. The turnovers this game, they've been bad. I mean, there's no other way to put it. It's an early season game, I get that. But both teams playing at a pace sometimes is too ahead of where they are mentally. Body's got to catch up. Good pass.
Coles inside, easiest bucket of the game.
Yeah.
Tied at 28.
Sorry, Roy, that was a for sure pass, right? It was there, and it was done quickly when she was in good position with her hands out, ready to receive it.
It was 28-22, now we're knotted up. Walton, the bounce pass to Kasia. She'll get it back and shoot a pair. She wanted that first opportunity back. Could have been an and one.
Coles getting great position in that mid post and felt it, could read the shoulder, and so all she had to do was just drop step and put it up.
And Williams with the look. I know you're big on the entry pass. It's got to be there in the right spot in order to make a play like that go down.
Yeah, and that's a harder pass than people think it is, just to make a post entry pass. You know, but the way that she was able to space herself and make herself available, it made it really easy for the guard.
Lonnie Kasia, the graduate student, 60% free throw shooter at this stripe. And she'll get one more. Redshirted after a good start last season. 2 years ago, named to the all-rookie team in the A-10. It'll be tracked down by Habib. And a timeout called by the George Mason bench. 2:46 remaining in our third quarter. The consistent improvement for for Vanessa Blair-Williams, Blair-Lewis, excuse me, and the 3 straight seasons. The win total on the up and up every single year. So 10 to 16 to 23. You get another 5 to 6 win improvement this year. I mean, you're dancing, right?
You sure are. And what is impressive to me is the conference wins. You go from 3 and then 2 more years 14. So it's not like you're putting cupcakes on the schedule just to up your win total. She's somebody that appreciates a tough schedule, is doing it early, and has prepared her ladies for the postseason. But that'll be a charge. One more turnover. And no surprise, is Coles taking the contact.
Well, the ATO and the after timeout play was drawn up brilliantly for Jada Brown, but the defense was a step quicker.
Upside defense taking just a, I don't know, of contact. It's like, I mean, she sold it. Look, I'm gonna give it to her because she sold it. But you probably can't knock her down that easily in any given day.
Well, the ball came out pretty quickly before the contact was made. There's a lot happening there to dissect. It's an offensive foul. Wave off the bucket. Deeks get it back in the midst of a 6-0 run.
Regardless, you're going to clip it if you're Coach Gebbia to say, terrific help side defense. You slid into place. You took the quote-unquote contact.
I mean, we know what it looks like in the box score.
That's right.
That's a charge.
It's also helped them with this 6-0 run here this last 3 minutes. Get the tie.
Theuerkauf, no. Kasia, the rebound. Kasia active in this third quarter. And a bump by Jones. She absorbed some contact. That's her second personal. Maybe caught a shot in the nose. Guilty of the infraction, and a smile indicating everything's okay. Suarez at the strike. Yet to miss this season. And a reminder, our Week 13 ACC football lineup here on ACC Network starts Saturday, 7-3 UConn taking on Syracuse. Up first at noon, you got Charleston Southern and FSU. 1:30 on ACC Network Extra, Stanford and Cal, the big game. The rivalry, now a conference affair. Virginia Tech and Duke wrap up the night, 8 o'clock in prime time. West Durham, Tom Luganville, Dana Boyd. Right here on ACC Network, the ESPN app. Patriots back in front after 2 free throws. Just over 2 minutes remaining in our third quarter. This one has been a grinded out affair tonight. Defense aplenty. Miss Williams unable to corral the pass. Came in hot and high.
Well, the areas where you want it to go to, right down on the block, you're going to get double teamed. You want to immediately look cross court. That should be an easy pass to an easy shot. You know, catch it, step into rhythm into your shot, but that's where Wake Forest has got to tighten up on their offensive end.
Harris inside. And a quick turn. Foul called. It's Volker going to shoot 2. And Williams just picked up her 3rd foul, so that's a developing story. Second leading scorer for the Deeks this season. 2 points so far tonight. Williams will check out. Bring Connolly back in. One more free throw. 67% at the line this season for number 15 in green and gold. Patriots trying to make it a 2-possession game. So a 6-0 burst. In response with a 4-0 run. And near the end of the quarter.
And Jada Brown, that full court pressure on ball just to slow down Wake Forest enough. We've seen if they had enough pressure, it really kind of gets them flustered into creating turnovers. And right here, Volko almost had her hands on one.
Theuerkauf tapped out with 12 to shoot.
You could really see in one of the recent timeouts, Vanessa Blair-Lewis, head coach at George Mason, getting into the face of her players, saying, hey, keep that intensity up. We are wearing them down.
Shot clock at 4. Crossover by Jones. (32 to 28), 60 seconds to go in the third. Embiid for 3, and she was fouled on the follow-through. 3 free throws coming as Connolly tried to close it out.
Those are momentum killers.
body.
Yeah. And if you're Wake Forest, Coach Jebbia, you know, walk down to her bench, kind of holding out that 3 sign, saying we cannot foul on a 3-point shot. Get in there, box out, close out.
I feel like we've seen more plays like that at all levels of basketball. Pros, college, for just defenders trying to make that play on a 3-point attempt.
Like defenders trying to block the shot instead of closing out, boxing out.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, you can credit Zion Williamson probably for that, for throwing those corner 3s into like the 15th row.
You saw a couple of those in person.
I did.
I also credit James Harden for a lot of that too, because he would find a way to get a defender in the air and the pump fake and then launch a 3. And
let's not.
It gets a little annoying, doesn't it? That wasn't the circumstance there.
Not even a little, a lot.
Theuerkauf through the contact and will shoot 2. A free throw shooting contest has developed here in our third quarter.
With 5'9" guard, Rylie Theuerkauf, a sophomore. She's tough, and she is one of the strongest players out here. I've seen players bounce off of her just from taking contact, and that time able to get to the rim.
10 points in the win against Winthrop the last time out, and for Rylie Theuerkauf, number 85 prospect in the country, according to ESPNW, now in her sophomore campaign. Now substitutions coming in. Sorby checks in again. Aurora from Norway. Theuerkauf averaged almost 30 points per game her final year of high school basketball.
How many was that?
Almost 30.
Almost 30, wow.
28 and a half to be exact. I like to round up.
Yeah, let's give her the benefit of the doubt on that. 5'9", averaging 30 a game. I mean, the quickness and the strength. She's got a great combination. There it is. Her energy really affecting George Mason.
Showing that 2-2-1 full court pressure. Maybe the third possession tonight we've seen. And a 10-second call. Harris didn't realize there was the stoppage on the ball that was kicked out of bounds. He didn't rule it a kick, but it was carrying in that direction. So the 10-second call. Unable to get it across half court in time.
And those are great plays as well. You create turnovers. Now you get the ball already on your side of the court here. I mean, that was caused by the energy directly from Theuerkauf. I mean, she was all in the face of George Mason, got that deflection, and then here it is, a 10 count.
Also for the Patriots, number 13.
Suarez back on the floor, and Jada Brown as well. Had to officially check in. Dotting I's and crossing T's here at the end of the quarter.
That's right.
We attempt to do that in broadcasting as many times as possible. Sometimes we actually do it.
Yeah, including having the discussion on how to spell last names with a, what is the character in Sorby's last name?
It's part of the 29-letter alphabet. I'm unfamiliar, though, with the actual name of the letter.
Got it.
It's got the O with the slash diagonally written through it. 1 second remaining in the quarter. Williams clears out in the offensive foul. That's an enormous call because that is her 4th personal after she just checked back in.
Yeah, that's huge. Wake down 4, trying to get that shot going into the 4th, and you could feel it. Jebbia a little disappointed at the
That was
call.
a stern look.
Yeah, it was stern. Let's take a look here. Cross. And it's that, yep, it's that left arm.
The Patriots extend their lead by 3. There's 10 minutes remaining at Joel Coliseum. 34-30, our score. Brooke, you and I called Miami and Jacksonville about a week ago in a back-and-forth game. Thought was going to be very competitive. It was. The Hurricanes found a way to win it late. We thought tonight was going to be competitive. It has been, and then some. And now Wake Forest trying to carry the torch for the conference against the upstart A-10 and George Mason. It's their turn to try to figure out a way to come back and win it.
And as this game goes on, you know, if it stays and Wake can't find their run, they may start to play tighter, because then they're going to feel the pressure of, we've got to defend at home court. And George Mason could just start to play looser.
Jada Brown a 3.
Maybe not that loose, though. Tighten it up.
Hinds the rebound. Where can Wake squeeze out a little more offense in your estimation?
Well, I haven't seen them consistently go down to the post. I feel like Coles is doing a lot of work on the defensive end. She's screening, she's moving, like she's giving. She needs to receive, give that woman the ball and let her go to work on the post. I think she's got great footwork. In addition to that, you got a good offensive rebounder in Hinds who can help.
Walton just picked up her 4th foul. Elise Williams has 4 for the Deeks. So 2 of the top players in this game tonight, both in foul trouble to start the 4th.
I mean, it's not fun or flashy, but you can certainly draw fouls to get yourself to the free throw line.
And we saw that, I feel like, more in the 3rd. Swatted away by Suarez, and a foul called on Theuerkauf.
But those are the post-entry passes, right? It said it looks easy. It's not. A simple ball fake and bounce pass inside would have worked. That's, again, good active hands on the part of George Mason.
Paula Suarez, now a senior. Had a career-high 24 in WBIT last season. 84-80 loss to Penn State, and the runner. Suarez in the scoring column. Got 4 points tonight after that bucket. The lead spans to 6, and a foul call on Jada Brown.
Let's go back to watch that creative bucket here from Suarez. A screen, hesitation, and a runner. Put all 3 moves right into one.
It was about an inch away from the fingertips of Theuerkauf. He was trying to sneak in just behind her. Big possession now for the Deeks. Foul inside.
This could work. I like the high-low possible entry pass here for Wake Forest. Bring Coles up to the free throw line. Post flash across the middle.
Well, 3 fouls already called against the Patriots. That was the first on Volker. So just 2 more and you're shooting free throws the rest of this game. Jones, stolen by Harris. Kennedy Harris, 1-on-2, no problem. And the first player tonight in double figures is Kennedy Harris. And the Patriots now have their largest lead at 8.
How the heck did she keep her balance? She got so low to the ground and able to turn the corner and finish in traffic. That was incredible. Again with a steal, almost.
Theuerkauf for 3. Would have been huge if it dropped. It did not. And the 14th foul called against George Mason.
I hate to describe it this way, but there's no other way to say it. That was a lazy pass that got intercepted. Have to put more emphasis into it and take better care of the basketball. It has to be of value to you.
Inside to Hinds. Tried to muscle it up and could not.
I'm okay with that shot, though. Good looking pass. Strong take to the basket. Didn't go in, but you like that if you're critiquing the shot selection, I should say, for Wake.
Patriots trying to pull away. Suarez the 3. And Coles another rebound. It's her 7th. Lead remains at 8. Every possession critical now. that pass out of bounds. Theuerkauf was cutting, unable to haul it in, and a timeout. Megan Jevian not liking the start of this fourth quarter. 3 minutes in, the lead is 8 for the Patriots. The motto of this team this year, #BelieveBig. Fresh off of defeating 2 NCAA tournament teams from a year ago, Monmouth and Marshall. The team certainly with the belief, even bigger and better things after the 23 wins a season ago. Jada Brown with a rebound. Shot clock does not reset. That was an air ball. Suarez sees it, and with the left hand is short.
Shot selection's got to be so critical for George Mason, and you could just feel the defense reset for Wake Forest. I think that was a great timeout used by Megan Jevian because the timing of her team was off. The passes, the cuts were not there. Poles with a big board amongst 4 George Mason players.
Jones came up short. Poles going to shoot a pair. Wake Forest in the bonus. Final 6:21 of this game, and that's critical. The team that has struggled to score tonight. Poles 4 of 9 at the line this season. Make it 4 of 10. She'll get one more. Brooke, you mentioned it to start this quarter. You can feel the tension in the building.
George Mason going to tap into that excitement, you know, of course, of being on the road, I should say, in an ACC school with a 7-point lead. You know, for them, they don't want to play too conservative just because they've got the lead, right? They want to play to win, not to not lose. And then for Wake Forest, they've got to find that next level, that gear, that pride of defending your home court. Get some steals, a couple deflections, you know, maybe an and one bucket. They'll be right back in this game.
For the first point of the fourth quarter for the Deacs, 6 to shoot for George Mason. Jada Brown sees it and launches. Right before the shot clock expired, Habib on the offensive glass. Fouled on the putback. 2 free throws coming for number 22. Habib, new season, 8-10, all third team. 80% at the line this year. Don't forget, coming up Saturday morning right here on ACC Network, 11 a.m. Eastern. ACC Huddle Crew will get you ready for the day. From Wallace Wade Stadium on the Duke campus, a 60-minute pregame show leading into UConn Syracuse. Back at 6:30 to get you ready to go for Virginia Tech and Duke at 8, as well as review all the critical games. Brooke, we will be, our crew on the football side will be up at Virginia for SMU coming to town. SMU can clinch an appearance in the ACC championship game with a win in Charlottesville.
Yeah, that'll be a good game.
Yeah, we're excited for it. Meanwhile, George Mason with its largest lead at 9. Football winding down, basketball ramping up inside. A good look to Hinds.
I'd go right back to that play. Until George Mason can tell you they can stop that, go back to it. That was the most efficient possession Wake Forest has had this game.
It just came smoothly, crisply, quickly. Nearly a turnover. And there is one. Theuerkauf with a steal. Halfway through the fourth. And a traveling call by Jordan. And the turnover starting to mount. Now 22 in this game.
Yeah, and unforced ones. That's the biggest issue really for Wake Forest. It's the unforced turnovers that, you just spend all that energy on defense, working to get that steal. You don't even get a shot attempt out of it.
There's Harris. She's been the spark plug tonight. Keisha's been a scorer as well. Not this time. Deacs get a stop. George Mason gets an offensive rebound.
They want to reset. Try to find some spacing. Let's see, Vanessa Blair-Lewis, head coach up there at the top of your screen, directing our offense.
Working the A-10 in that category. The offensive glass. Turnover number 16, though, for the Patriots. Unable to get that secondary attempt. Approaching 4 minutes to play. Jones outside to Conley. Clean look. Not that time.
And not the shot to take right there, right? We said go right back to the inside. Go to what worked for you before that high post entry. And use the momentum and the strength of your post players.
Theuerkauf hit the deck. Appears to be okay. 4 to play.
What a steal!
And the foul. Clock will stop. Free throws for Jones. Well, it felt like that was going to be an easy bucket for the Patriots. Instead, Wake gets it back and free throws on the other end.
Yeah, I mean, help side defense was great here for your man, and then actually just stepping right in front of Kasia to get the steal.
And Kasia just picked up her 4th foul, so Nalani with 4. Zahira Walton with 4, and Elise Williams with 4 fouls back on the court for Wake. Now Jones tonight has been one of the few offensive sparks. Coach Jebbia. Kasia with 8 points in those 4 fouls. One of 2 at the line. 2-possession game. This will show trapping pressure for a moment. Kennedy Harris probing. Clear path to the bucket. 13 on the board.
She was patient, found the opening there, and just took advantage. Just did not rush the play. We've said that all night about George Mason. They have not played rushed.
Theuerkauf wanted the foul call. Pleading her case. Going back down to the other end of the court. To no avail. Lead back to 8. Same play, this time the hedge.
Oh my goodness, 2 Wake Forest players go after the ball goes out of bounds. And George Mason hitting all the correct bounces their way.
Yeah, that sequence kind of a microcosm of this game for the Deeks, especially in the second half. Walton back on the floor, cashes in on the layup. The largest lead now at 10.
How about the extra dribble to go to the left side of the floor, right? I mean, that was A-10 Rookie of the Year move. That's like A-10 first team move right there.
Second leading scorer for the Patriots this season. Zahira Walton. Williams inside, operating quickly, spins it home. Lead down to 8. Her second bucket.
Wake Forest has got to press, obviously, the rest of this game, trying to make up some ground here.
And Vanessa Blair-Lewis calls the timeout. I'm not sure how Kennedy Harris was able to make the bounce pass sitting down
Seriously.
to her own teammate, but she was able to do it, and that was a big sequence.
Well, we don't know how Kennedy Harris has stayed on the floor tonight at times. I mean, her balance and her ability to just use her athleticism, come up with a steal to finish, to find her teammate on the bounce pass. Pretty incredible to watch.
And we talked about it earlier tonight. The defensive approach of Wake Forest, high-flying tempo of George Mason. Well, the score tells you the story. It's been a slower tempo than what the Patriots would like. They still have taken advantage. They've played some pretty salty defense themselves.
I like it. Yeah, they've been pretty salty on defense. You could describe it that way. Yeah, it's valid.
Okay.
36 points. I'd be salty.
You would be salty. That's the understatement of the young season. out of the timeout. And approaching 2 minutes to play. Big possession for both sides. Here comes Harris. And a wide open look. That's a three, and it drops for Suarez. Well, again, the after timeout sequence for George Mason. We have seen some outstanding plays drawn up tonight by Vanessa Blair-Lewis. Elise Williams on the other end. No. Kasia the rebound.
I mean, seriously well executed. The way she is conducting her ladies from the sideline up there, movement, they are responding instantly to her commands.
Spin by Harris, another wide open look. Mid-range, off the mark. Williams ahead to Theuerkauf. Over the back. Hinds will shoot two. Actually a good foul. She would have had the easy layup.
Yeah.
Without the infraction.
There's that ball movement we're talking about. No panic, just drive and dish. The defense is there, or not there, I should say, but she's able to walk right into it. And George Mason looking like they're going to walk out of here with an upset.
Think about the potential of the win against Monmouth, Marshall, and if this score holds on the road in the heart of the ACC at Wake, you start thinking about building a resume and what that looks like come March.
Well, these are the types of wins that, if you're looking for an at-large, another school perhaps in the A10, George Mason could say, hey, don't forget about us now.
47-37. He's got a foul. Just the third team foul. And Wake Forest had the lead right at the end of the half. Then George Mason surging. It was a 9-2 run. It started to change how this game felt. And the Patriots in the second half just simply put the clamps down. And we're going to take a look at that. The original call was Patriots basketball. Kind of a bang, bang
the out-of-bounds play is under review. Call on the floor is to green.
And now you can see Vanessa Blair-Lewis talking to her team about, managing the game and the clock right now. Say, hey, look how much time we have, minute 21. We've got to make sure we take care of the basketball. Another deflection. Theuerkauf gets over there.
Not sure you see anything there to overturn the call. Better angle here. I believe that it was Alyssa Andrews that last touched it. By the time Theuerkauf got there,
I think it had bounced out of bounds by the time Theuerkauf touched it, right?
It was already out.
Yeah. So
22 to go. The shot clock showing 19 seconds. They had it at 1.9 for a minute. I was going to say, that doesn't feel right. Deeks 2 fouls away from putting Patriots on the line. Theuerkauf tried to grab Suarez. Finally does. And the bonus will arrive after the next foul.
It's going to be a tough ask of Wake Forest if they continue to foul, stop the clock, put George Mason on the line. And they're going to have to try to go for threes, which hasn't been a big part of their game tonight either, Roy. Wake Forest is not taking a lot of threes, but they're going to have to start doing it now.
2 of 14 entering the fourth quarter from downtown.
George Mason only taken 7 attempts themselves.
Yeah, make no mistake about it, it's not a mystery. Defensively, it's a team that's going to give a lot of programs in the ACC headaches.
Yeah.
Question is, where are the points going to come from and who's going to be able to step up? Because there is some experience in this Wake Forest backcourt. Suarez going to shoot 2.
I think you saw some bright spots tonight, and what Tamia Jones was able to give you, what Theuerkauf was able to give you. Love the game of Coles as well. I think she needs to get more involved in taking shots. Also saw the game of Demeara Hinds, 6'2", senior out of Georgia.
Suarez back to the line. Well, she had a big three moments ago. 2 of 3 at the strike. For 2. Deeks get a stop. Approaching a minute to go.
See Theuerkauf, the bottom of your screen there, lining up outside the 3. Wouldn't be surprised. Williams is going to launch.
Hinds for the putback. 58 seconds to go. Lead down to 8. Suarez going to be fouled again. Just missed her last 2 after making her first 2. When you were in a gym, and let's say it wasn't a packed house, and you're at the line late in a game, and you can hear people chattering, could you block it out?
Well, okay, I'll tell you a quick story time. We did have a game like that at Winthrop, and there weren't many fans there, but there was one hanging over, like, in the middle, and he was trying to propose. Big sign and everything, just trying to distract me from missing the free throw. I honestly don't remember if I made it or not. I just remember that happened at the game. He did distract me. I don't know if I made the free throw or not, but it was definitely distracting.
Theuerkauf unable to connect. He was trying to propose.
I think that was what it was. That definitely would have taken that to distract me at that time, out of the game. Okay, so I would rather shoot in a loud.
Right.
Yeah, the quiet arenas are the ones that kill you because then the mind you
can hear
racing thoughts. Yes,
you can hear
Too
individuals.
Much. Yep, you can hear us.
Right. Well, it bothers me sometimes as a broadcaster. Home arena gets really quiet, and you're talking, and naturally we project our voice loud. But you don't want to impact the game with. I don't want to impact it with my nonsense. Well, she's 8 for her last 9 from the floor or from the free throw line.
Yeah, you better not do the jinx in a quiet gym.
Right.
Then you're really going to get the business.
I have ended many free throw streaks, by the way.
I've seen it. Been here right for it.
It's a real living thing.
Yet you continue to do it.
Well, it is entertaining when it happens. Timeout call. The lead back to 10. 39 seconds and change remaining. It's been a rock fight in Winston. George Mason on the verge of improving to 5-0. And Chevia going over some last-minute instructions with her team. Verge of falling to 3-2. I'm unaware of why the announcer jinx is so prevalent, but it is.
It is.
And it's not going away anytime soon. Top of the key, Jordan. And Theuerkauf was fouled on the 3. It's the second time we've seen that in this game. We mentioned how it's become more common at all levels of basketball. Theuerkauf just fought through and was able to force one up. And Keisha just fouled out.
Yeah, and she's frustrated with herself. She knows that was a mistake. Immediately started walking over the bench, took ownership of it. Yeah. It's one of those you don't want to see happen. You just contest without fouling. Those are the moments of discipline, Roy, that can come into play later on in a season. So you want to be able to clean that part of it up right now.
3 free throws coming for Theuerkauf. Andrews on the floor now for Wake Forest. Theuerkauf tonight with 9 points. One more. Well, this kind of had a feel of a mid-February conference meat grinder kind of game. The way the defenses have showed up tonight. Kennedy Harris going to get a chance to shoot 2. You know how it gets in that part of the schedule.
And I will say that, you know, if Harris doesn't knock these down, And Wake is able to hit a free, maybe get a quick steal, another basket. I mean, this game is still definitely within reach now. These are big shots for Harris. Ice cold.
What a game.
She's a talent.
A preseason third team all A10 scoring point guard. It's going to be on everybody's radar even more after tonight. 1 of 2 at the line. Still an opening for the Deeps. Jones launching. Williams tries to save it and does to Theuerkauf. Patriots come up with it, and with 10 seconds to go, that'll just about do it. George Mason on the road in the ACC. Head coach Vanessa Blair-Lewis, they'll get the job done at Joel Coliseum. 50-41 the final. And the